I'm here with somebody who is not part of these court cases, but you're just a New Yorker who was walking by, and you were talking to some of the people here.
I don't know if you heard the conversation. I used to work right there at 25 Central. I used to work for what's called Project Hospitality, which they still exist, but they moved over across the street from the 120th Precinct on Richmond Terrace.
Okay.
And so I'm still part of the community. I mean, what Project Hospitality did is they helped the displaced people of Staten Island and the other boroughs too, but they mostly focus on Staten Islanders that became displaced. Like, if you think back to Superstorm Sandy, when like places that was like below sea level, or some people lost their homes and they had nowhere to go. And so this is one of the places they came to, and there's different Project Hospitality properties around the borough here. So
right.
They got families, women with kids, so they help feed and house people that is displaced. And so I came upon this where I saw some friends of mine who were like teachers, and I saw some firefighters, and we were sitting over there, and I was like, I support you, and I know how it is. I said,
What was your experience with the city's vaccine mandates? Did that affect you at all? During the pandemic?
Yeah, it kind of did. It kind of affected my small business. I have a small business. I make skateboards, and so it kind of fit because with the pandemic, people wasn't purchasing that. It became more of a focus on essential needs. So my business kind of sales wasn't where it should be.
But you weren't doing a job where you were required to get vaccinated. I don't know if you wanted to or not. But
no, I tell you, I one of the people that decided not to get the vaccine. Yeah, I never took any kind of vaccine whatsoever. Even when it first came out, it was offering $100. I kind of thought about it, but in the end, I said, because I'm not sure. I'm like, who knows what's going to happen? So I said, you know what? I'm going to trust God. Sounds like I'm nuts, but it's been working so far. And that pandemic started like 2019? This is like 2023. In my opinion, a lot of people that took the vaccine it's up to the individual. I'm not saying that everybody should follow my advice. That might not work for everybody. For other people, they say, hey, I took the vaccine. Like my aunt is an educator. My aunt Mary up in the South Bronx in Concourse Village. She took it and she said, I feel fine. And she's like at least 77. And she said, I was hesitant about it, but see, she's with the UFT. They put pressure on them. They like, you can lose your job. You don't do this. See, I'd rather take a chance of losing my job because I have a problem when you're trying to pressure me to do something. This is still America. I mean, that's why I support the firefighters union. The firefighters, they in my opinion, they should have this. They're supposed to have a right to choose. It don't supposed to be like a dictatorship where you got to do this or you lose your job. No, I don't think that's right. That's not part of our civil liberties. No. Even though it's risky, but they should have a choice whether they want the vaccine, because in the end, it's their body. You'll be like them 9/11 victims that took that risk and all that dust, and then you die. Cops and firefighters are dying of cancer and all sorts of asbestos type stuff. I don't think it's right. Once again, it's controversial, but I think that they and anybody else has a right to choose whether you have the vaccine or not. Once again, this is America. This is not North Korea. This is not no communist place where they tell you what to do and you do it or else. No, let people have their choice. And we work. We can always get together and have some kind of forum and work to make that work. That's my opinion. What should be done. I mean, but that's all. It's always going to be up in the air. It's always going to be back and forth. And The court decision today wasn't finalized, but hopefully the next court date, I think they said in September, hopefully by then they'll get their, what they should get. People that have been fired should be reinstated and compensated, because apparently they had a rough time surviving between the time they got fired and the time if they get lucky enough to get rehired. It's not fair. It's hard enough when you have your city job or whatever job you have. Imagine losing your job and you, the head of the household like I am, and you got to face your wife, your kids, you got these bills, you got mortgage, rent, or car. They not having sympathy for your situation. They want their money. And when you don't get it, they're going to take your car, they're going to take your home, you're going to lose. You'd be like the migrants you see out here that had no place to go. They put them up in a whole thing. That's more madness. So that's my opinion, how I feel. I know a lot of y'all people out there will agree with me. It will probably be a lot of talk over whatever platform about, hey, that guy was right, or no, that guy was wrong, that guy crazy, you know what you're talking about. People should be made to get the vaccine, whether they like to or not. It's for their own good. But I don't believe that. I'm an adult, I'm a grown man. The buck stops here. I make my decisions. When I was a kid, I listened to people. When I become an adult, I should be respected enough, and anybody else that's a human being should be respected enough to make their own decisions. And that's my opinion.
So when the city rolled out the vaccine mandates, these city workers that you were talking to today, they were affected directly. The city came to them and said, okay, you got to take this or you lose your job. But and that applied to all of us, all New Yorkers, right, in the private sector too. Mm-hmm. But I guess because you're not a city worker, you're in the private sector, so no one came to you and said, hey, you're going to get fired if you...
No, the city approached... I'm not a city worker, but the city has approached me via my Facebook or whatever, knock on my door. You want to take the vaccine? I went to the hospital for an illness that wasn't even related to COVID or nothing like that, and still they like, want to take the vaccine? No. I got arrested and detained at Rikers Island, and while people was out here on the street getting offered $100, people that was detainees, I wasn't even convicted. I was later freed and released and found not guilty. They was offering people in Rikers Island $25. So
take the vaccine?
Yeah. Plus a whole bunch of other stuff going on in there I don't even talk about, because we're focusing on this vaccine thing. But so this vaccine situation is for a lot of people, it's profitable, and that kind of makes me question why I said people should have a choice, freedom of whether they want to do it or not, because it's more involved than just your safety. We're concerned about your well-being. No, money is being made, like capitalism. Don't think there was something behind them giving you $100 at first to take a vaccine. That kind of that was a red flag right there. I was like, I think it started out with giving people like free donuts at Krispy Kreme, a beer or something. Then it just, okay, just give them $100. And then there was some foolery with that, where you would go to a pop-up site and they would kind of like sell you dreams when you actually get there and take the vaccine. Then I was talking to people and they said, no, we didn't get the money yet. They told us they was going to mail it to us or give it to us a gift card. I said, see, that's more madness. A lot of people waited by their mailbox and never got the $100. A lot of people didn't get the gift cards. It seemed like the people that was working there put the gift cards in their pocket, but that's just speculation. Don't quote me on that. But there's a lot of things. That's why she's laughing. There's a lot of things that go wrong with that. It's not. Listen, when has the government been that concerned about your health? If there's nothing involved on their end, no, I don't think so. You got to be woke when you got to see outside the box of what they telling you. And this has been going on for a while. Come on, once again, this is 2023. This pandemic has put us through it. People like, ones are still alive, are lucky to be alive. I'm lucky I'm alive. I thank God, everybody don't believe in it, but hey, so far it works for me. I mean, I'm healthy. I don't got COVID. Another thing I'll tell you about, they gave me a test one time when I was detained at Rikers, playing games. Told me I had COVID. I know I didn't. Oh, well, maybe you're symptomatic. No. Come to find out, they gave me 3 more tests, all negative. I said, what happened with the first one you did? It was a cheap test, and it was a false positive. They said, how you know that? I said, if I tell you, I don't have to be a physician, doctor, no, it's not. I have illnesses that are medical, not COVID related, not mental health issues, which they tried to go there. No. We don't even got to argue about it. It's not that. Don't speculate and try to mess with my head. No, I know better than you do what my sickness is. The only reason I go to hospitals is because I don't have that kind of equipment in my home in Brooklyn. Otherwise, if I had equipment in my house in Brooklyn, I could, be like Tony Stark. I could be my own doctor, hook myself up. Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, I know that I was in the hearing today, listening to the hearing, and it's actually just a hearing they were arguing about whether it should be a class action lawsuit. So the decision, when they come back to court in September for a decision about that, it's not the final decision in the case. So these people lost their jobs around the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, and they're still in court. They're not going to get a final decision anytime soon.
That's sad. I mean, come on, that's like a couple of years. How a person is supposed to survive for a couple of years? Whether you're the man, the head, or the woman is the head of the family, you struggling. I mean, then you could develop mental health issues from the stress, just like a lot of people develop mental health issues because of the pandemic. The stress, instead of you going to your regular office job, you remote working, the kids are going to remote school at home, the kids are going crazy. Oh, I don't see my friends no more. I don't get out of... My kid was like, I feel like I'm in the Bellevue nut house, psych ward, isolated in the room. You got to figure out how. Okay, let's go outside and let's walk somewhere. Let's go to a park. Let's do something different. Because then with the pandemic, you couldn't go to the movie theater. There was so many restrictions. The city was losing money. I mean, the city makes an income off commerce and events. That was dead. I'm in the sporting events when the pandemic first started. I'm in the motorsports, like NASCAR, Formula One, that was dead. If there was any race anywhere around this region, you watched it on TV. you couldn't go to a racetrack. You couldn't go to Lime Rock, Connecticut and watch a car race. No. Not even with masks. Watch it on TV. Watch it on TNT or whatever, CBS, whatever came on. It's bad. I mean, we're lucky that things they had to lift the restrictions in order for the city to still survive. Otherwise, you think there's inflation now. Businesses had to somehow make a comeback because it was a point where I remember the subway was a ghost town. It seemed unreal when I got on the train back then. I was like, where's everybody? And then the problem was then they restricted the hours of the train at one point where it wasn't 24/7, which a lot of other cities like Boston, they got what they call the T. It's not 24, but here we're used to 24/7. When they restricted it, my thought was, that's the way to get the homeless people off the transit system. Because if you close the train at night for at least a couple of hours, everybody got to leave the system. That means all the homeless people now got to come to the surface, which creates another problem because now the surface is overrun with homeless people. And they might start And, they said it was for other reasons, like for COVID cleaning, but I said y'all been trying to get the homeless people off the subway system for a long time. That's a perfect way to get rid of them, by shutting down the system for a few hours for your so-called cleaning. And, when they lifted that and it went back to 24-hour operations, see the same problem. You can't go to a subway station or get on a train without seeing people people are virtually living on a rolling subway train. And it's a situation that's hard to fix. Plus, we got the migrants, we got extra funding from the state and from the federal government, but that funds is dwindling quickly. And when it run out, the migrants got to get out of hotels like the Roosevelt and whatever hotels in Times Square, and it's going to be hell. You think they wilding out now attacking us, I'm saying, they should appreciate being here. They shouldn't be walking around, getting drunk and attacking people like you and I, and, making us... And that's sort of like the people that was against it. They said, see, y'all people voted for that, sanctuary city. I said, but, I didn't vote for that. The bottom line is they're a human being. They come here for asylum. It was really on them to come and just be humble and not, don't make waves and come here and just relieve your stress and get drunk and disorderly in the street and you hurt innocent people.
Is that something that you've seen yourself?
Yeah. I actually was one of the people attacked. Like I said, I dip and dab in theaters. So months ago, I was up by Columbia University area, like what they call Morningside Heights. And I was actually a victim of being attacked. Me and my friend, he more got attacked more than I did. I kind of like they made a swing at me, but I avoided getting hit directly. But they caught my friend off guard, and we caught the cops, and they really didn't do too much. They're like, oh, we know them, they don't harm nobody. I said, look, we just got attacked by them. They drunk and they wilding out. They saying stuff that don't even make sense. Like, we work, we pay taxes. I'm like, how that work when you just got here and you're not even legally here?
How did you know? How did you know they were migrants?
I know because they said they was from Venezuela and they was actually upset with us who was already here before them. And they was like, oh, they said that we work and we pay taxes. I was like, how you gonna pay taxes and you just got here? However you got here, whether you walked here across the Texas-Mexican border, how you gonna have a job and pay tax and you just got here? That's like me going to Japan and say, hey, I work here in Osaka and the people put me in a nut house. Some things just don't make sense. See, some of them people disturbed. It's just like when Castro had that boat lift and all them people went to Miami, all them criminals. Everybody that come here is some people are criminals, some of them disturbed, some people set up their criminal element network here because there's a bigger gang or cartel over there and they running them. They run them out of the country, whatever, and they come here. And see, that's what most people have a problem with. They said, look, we have a problem enough here. And a lot of people like my dad, who's a Korean War veteran, and said, look, I'm a veteran. He said, what happened to us first? What happens to people that are already here? And then take care of them. But see, people here keep getting passed over. And every time you turn around, there's another situation where somebody else is coming here and they're getting benefits that actually belong to us. And we're not trying to be inhumane or insensitive, but hey, how many times are we going to get passed over before somebody takes care of us and our people? My dad is like in his 80s. He's a damn vegetable. He got medals. He's like Iron Man. What? And he is treated like a bum. He's miserable now. He's alcoholic. And I tell you, so you got to understand. You got to understand what happened to him, why he's like that. He's not just a shiftless person that just like, no, things happen to him. He's been abused, he's been abused by the army, and now it's his last days. He's like miserable. And if you're at one time I was his caregiver, and so I couldn't caregive for him anymore, and I had to assign him a home health aide, a certified one, and he gives her hell because I said, you understand, Dad he's a tough cookie because he, when people been mistreated, they act out like that. I put up with it until I couldn't put up with it no more, and I had to go to the hospital. And the doctor told me, he said, look, sir, you got to take care of yourself before you take care of anybody else. I said, but there's nobody else to take care of me. He said, you better find somebody. So my aunt kind of filled in, different family members, my daughter,
So what kind of services now? You're saying that he's not receiving all of the attention or services that you think that he should, right?
From the Veterans Administration, he's not receiving all the stuff that he's supposed to receive. And that happens to a lot of veterans where when they get disabled and injured, sometimes things don't work out right with the paperwork or bureaucracy, whatever you want to call it. And he would virtually need President Biden to get him to straighten all that out and for him to get the compensation that he's supposed to get. Because, they're keeping him alive. I mean, he got a 2-bedroom apartment up there by Yankee Stadium, but if you go up there and interview him, you would see how he literally is like, it bring tears to your eyes. Like people like, that's no veteran should be treated like that after what he did. And we ain't talking about no Desert Storm. We talking about Korean War, like in the 50s or something. Longer than I've been alive, and I'm like 57. It's horrible. I mean, come on, and it's a lot. Now, the good thing with Dad, at least Dad is not in the street. I see people all the time at the ferry terminal, on the subway. You walk around St. George here, you find spots that homeless people are. The ballpark where the Staten Island Yankees play, if you walk around the circumference of that, sometimes you see corners with people with cardboard. It's horrible. The courthouse down there sometime on Richmond Terrace, I think they made a move, but there used to be a little encampment at night. They used to come at night and set up, and then by the morning when the courts open, they used to, wrap their stuff up and move. But it's bad. And then when you got people that come from other places for asylum here, now that compounds the problem. Because see, it seemed like that money come out of nowhere, but that money should have came to help the people that was already been out here on the streets, sometimes for years. Sometimes people been out here, I talked to people and bought them food and find out They've been out here for 20 years. I'm like, how do you live? Where do you go take a shower at? How do you still, in their mental functioning is not open, but I like, how do you still manage to stay alive? You can go to the ferry terminal and see the same people. They've been there for years, like a couple of, since 9/11. And you be like, sir, how do you keep alive and you haven't had a shower in like 20 years? You haven't brushed your teeth in 20 years. You haven't had a checkup in 20. It's only God, as far as I'm concerned, to keep the people alive. This is a miracle. It's a miracle they can halfway function and know where to get up and go and get food if they see a van coming, because they know, they have enough sense to know, like, you know, like here in Staten Island, you go to Project Hospitality where I used to work at. You would go across, virtually down the street from the 120th precinct. You actually go to Stuyvesant Place before it runs into Richmond Terrace, and you would get, if you want to see, you at least get food. You would come in and say, look, I'm homeless, and they give you food. It's a drop-in center. They don't have beds, so you know, if you decide to stay there, they let you stay. You sit up in a chair, which is not really comfortable. I know if I had to do that, it's not comfortable for me. I mean, at one time, what I did is I was in between apartments. I wrote the subway system, which now is out of the question because I had a place and fell asleep and got robbed. Took my phone, everything, you know, just. And people said, what, they tap you. You were so tired from work. They tap you and you didn't move, and they just went to work. One guy was lookout for the cops, and the other guys just went through your pockets and took it. And I see it happen to other people. I see migrants, people from like Mexico, legal people, and they be like work construction jobs, and they be like, you know, they have a drink and pass out on the train. They shake them, hey, last stop, and they don't respond. It's a crew. They immediately go through their pockets, take stuff like this, and sell it for drugs or whatever, sell it to eat. It's rough. It's rough here. I mean, other problem with people that are displaced, sometimes they very angry, they're very hostile, and they'll take it out on you. They'll take it out on you for looking like you have a place to live. Yeah, they can't help themselves, and sometimes people get attacked. Like, if you ever remember the case where that guy pushed that Asian woman in front of the train and she got killed. The guy had lost his mind because that guy was living at 34th Street station on a platform bench for no telling how long. And, you know, he see people all, you know, all dressed up, looking nice, you know, going to whatever, and makes him angry. He's saying in his mind, why can't I live like that? Why can't somebody take me on? Why nobody helping me? And then, like I said, that's why I have to watch my back. Innocent people get lashed at, you know, violence be, you know, thrown upon innocent because the city is, you know, going mad.
What do you think the city should do? If you could make a list for City Council, Mayor Adams, what would you like to see them do to tackle the problems that we have in the city right now?
See, that's a hard thing. I remember even going back to Michael Bloomberg, where when I was really a strong activist, we actually went to city council meetings and we asked him, like, what happened to the helping the homeless? He said the safety net fell through, you know, it broke. And see, that's a hard thing to deal with. I actually, when Eric Adams was running, when he was the Brooklyn borough president, and we went to some kind of like town hall, and I told him when he was running, I said, it's not as easy as you think. You get in there, I heard that promise before, just like I told Curtis Sleewa. Bunch of hooey. Once you get in there, it doesn't work like that. You're limited as the mayor. You don't have all that power you think you are. You gotta talk to Governor Hochul and the president, and you gotta virtually beg them, help me, give me, I need funding. You know, you're not running things. It just look like you are. I mean, you're the mayor, but you're really not the mayor. You're a little guy, you know, with a city this is like a city with big problems. This is an international city. This is like one of the top cities, like Dubai or something. There's really mad money here, but it doesn't go to the right people. The right people don't get the money they need. I mean, there's a whole bunch of people, like they used to say they got like what, the 1%? I was a part of that long time ago. What was it called over on Wall Street?
Occupy?
Yeah, Occupy Wall Street, where we was in that park and we set up, you know, and how they got rid of was that one day they raided the park and they arrested people, and luckily somebody gave me the heads up, and they knew somebody within NYPD Intel, and they said, yo, don't be out there tonight because about 2 o'clock in the morning they're gonna come and raid. And that's what they did. If I was there, I'd have been arrested and I probably got hurt up and my property destroyed. So I packed up, and you know, But back then they was talking about the 1% versus the 99%, and I don't see much has changed.
Do you think things have changed over since the pandemic, since right before the pandemic? Do you think things have changed in the city for better or for worse? What do
I
you
think things changed for better a little bit. I'm not gonna say no, it got worse. There's been some changes and improvements, but sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it's so minuscule that if you're really suffering, you don't feel it. If you're one of these firefighters that lost their job or whatever's going on, you don't even really notice it because it's not enough of a progress to affect you to help you out of your situation. You're just still stuck.
But I mean, if you turn on the news, some stations will tell you that the city's going to hell and everything's worse and everything's terrible, and other stations will tell you that the economy's really fine and whatever. What's your take on it, just as a New Yorker? Are things better, worse,
I don't think
same?
One thing, I don't think kind of neither. I'm kind of in between. I don't think the city's going to hell, but at the same time, I don't think it's all hunky-dory. The economy's not fine. It's messed up. I mean, food is expensive. A lot of people still have food insecurity. They got to go to pantries. I mean, people working. People have cars. People working, and you say, oh, they make a lot of money. But I have friends that are correction officers, and they make $80,000 a year, but look at their expenses. They own a home, they got kids, they got a car, and want a car for maybe their wife. You finish getting all them bills, you're just as poor as somebody that's making $20,000 and just have a room or something. It's bad. Some people just don't want to see how bad the economy is, but the inflation is real. I have to budget my money for food. Look, good thing I don't eat a lot. I have to budget. My rent is outrageous. No rent should be 60% of your income. And see, what's happening to a lot of people. I think the guidelines is 20 to 25% of your income should go to rent. Not a reality in New York City. New York City, you almost say 75% of your income go to rent. Whatever's left, you're lucky if you can live off it. You're lucky if you can have enough money to pay for your subway fare, get a Metro card for the month, and food. Why you think so many people are avoiding the fare? And that's going to be more worse because now the fare is going up to $2.90. Might as well just make it $3. It's hard. It's hard to survive. You got to be like 007 every day to survive in this city. You can't be 100% legit and work in this city. You got to bend the rules some kind of way to survive. Otherwise, you'll be dead in the hospital.
Any last words for New Yorkers? Something that you think people should know about?
Support your city officials, like the firefighters, the police. When you see these people out here, try to open up your mind and understand what they're doing. I mean, you might say to them, like the firefighter situation, they all should just stop to be and get vaccinated. Kind of think about that. Think about somebody making you do something. Think about having a choice. I mean, I'm still getting over that Roe versus Wade thing. I never thought I'd see they overturn that. I mean, I don't think that was fair either. I mean, it's getting so that things that you thought that was permanent, they're figuring up a loophole to change it. Because see, if you kind of know the law, for every law there's a legal loophole, and they're finding them, and they're overturning things that you thought was solid. After a while, you're gonna have to watch out. It might be martial law. Get to the point where they just start telling you what to do, and you do it, or you suffer the consequences. And I don't think that y'all gonna appreciate that. Y'all complaining now, but when people start coming to your homes and telling you what you can and cannot do, I think you're gonna have a problem with that. Just like where I'm at, and they talking about you can't use your place as an Airbnb. Why not? In this situation of financial, hey, I use whatever means I can legally to stay alive. Not selling drugs, not selling guns, not Pablo Escobar. Come on, making a living. Hey, the best I, but nowadays, every time you use your mind and figure a way how to make a living on paper, they figure a way how to make it illegal. Makes no sense. What happened to America was founded on a free enterprise system? It doesn't exist unless your last name is Trump or something. Michael Bloomberg or Elon Musk. Makes no sense. Why? Why can't I just be the average Joe and have a little business and make my own? I'm not trying to work at McDonald's. I never get ahead that way. I need to make my own destiny, my own money, and, work for me and not be a slave to this, this system where, you have a regular 9 to 5. You don't have enough time to have a life. All you do is sleep and go to work. Take a shower and brush your teeth and shave in between. I don't think it's right. Once again, I believe in people's liberties. And so that's why, again, I support the firefighters and anybody else who's going to court and saying, look, Your Honor, we need to make the decision whether we take the vaccine or not. The buck stops here. Not somebody in office, not whoever, not even the president should tell you, because you're an official and them guys risk their life and then some. You know what it's like to be a firefighter and your fire chief, battalion chief, forcing you to go in the building that he knows going to collapse and know just about you going to die. You in a building. You ever saw like one of them fire shows on TV? They be in the building collapse. They die of smoke inhalation or just the roof collapse and they kill them. And later on they got to do a search and rescue and the dog sniff and find them and pull them out. That hurts. Hurts their family. Hurts his wife, hurts his kids. Oh, you can give him his badge and his uniform, but that just like the 9/11 victims. You know how many kids go to them funerals? They give the kid the police officer's hat and the badge, and that looks nice on TV, but then that kid is going to be traumatized. Sometimes the kid becomes a cop or whatever his dad was, but still, in the back of his mind, that kid is going through something, and it's a vicious cycle that never stops. It's like recidivism, if I'm saying it correctly. It's hopefully all this unwinds, and in the end, we get a resolution that we all can live with. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping for. So, stay tuned. We'll see what happens in September. I can't remember exactly, but I know I remember people said, well, September. So
September 6th, that's the next hearing date, and the judge is going to give his decision on whether to make this lawsuit class action.
I kind of think it should be class action. That's just my opinion. Once again, don't quote me on that. But to me, making a class action makes it a big deal. So I think it should be class action because this has been a big deal. I mean, this thing with the firefighters union been going on for a while. This is not.
This was actually this case was for teachers and Department of Education.
Okay.
The firefighters who were here. It's not their union. It's they were here with Bravest for Choice.
Oh, okay.
And that's a group of firefighters and EMS workers who did not comply with the mandate, and many of them lost their jobs as a result. So they were here supporting the teachers in this lawsuit, and there are other lawsuits with the firefighters that are going on.
Oh boy!
And there were sanitation workers here also.
Yeah, I saw the sanitation workers being interviewed earlier.
Who were also here supporting.
There was a lot of people that was supporting each other. It was kind of nice.
All right, so maybe I'll see you again on September 6th.
Yeah, I'll probably be in the area in the crowd, supporting, give my support. I hope they get the justice they deserve.
All right. Well, thanks for talking with me.
Thank you for having me. Thanks for interviewing me.